Get ready for the Bob Graham Experience.
My interview today on the Bob Graham Experience is with Shawn Harper, who's a former NFL player, National Football League. Talk a little bit about that. But since then, he took over a security firm from his brother. There are some really great lessons about business and life from that. And he's become a motivational speaker. You're going to love our discussion. We talk about small business, entrepreneurship, the connection between sports and business and entrepreneurship. And we even get into a little bit of religion and spirituality. So all that's coming up on today's episode of the Bob Graham Experience. Here we go. Hey, Shawn, it's an honor to be here with you. It really is. This is great. You're like a great football player, and I'm going to do something that probably very few people do, and that is I'm going to pivot and try to talk about business as much as possible. Now, if you make analogies to football, I can't do anything about it, but I'm going to try to stick to business. So first of all, tell us how you made that shift from being an NFL player to a business person. And I understand you've done it in two ways.
Sure. Extremely tough because, I was taught, I was groomed, I was trained as an athlete since the second grade. It's football. You are the, Shawn Harper, the football player. And so there's things, and, a lot of athletes are not going to mention this, but, there's just things that are kind of given to you, catered to you. Your mindset's different, your training's different, your circle's different. Networking, like, I don't need to network. Like, what is that? People want to network with me, it's just, and then all of a sudden, going from, Pop Warner, middle school, high school, college, junior college to the NFL. And then one day it's over. The train doesn't slow down. The train stops. And now all of a sudden, the things that you've taken for granted, the networking at the university, the soft skills, the grooming, the dress, all of that's like now you're expected to make the transition. And it's extremely tough for a lot of athletes, which is why a lot of athletes, they stick with things that can complement their football or sports directly, like coaching. They'll start coaching, or they'll leverage their name and they'll do sales. And so I was kind of in the same situation until I kind of made this shift. And the shift was that I can take the same winning mindset, I could take the same methodologies, tactics, and strategies from the business world, from the actual sports world, and I can merge it into the corporate world, because at a certain level, it's all the same. And I use the same attributes, I use the same mindset, and then I was able to bring it over, not only to use it for business, but to use it for marriage and almost every aspect of it. If you can peel away at the onion of sports a little bit, you can dive into some amazing tactics and strategies, and you can use that to not only exist in business, but to dominate in business. And I hope that you would ask me questions about that, because I would love to just jump into that, because one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to help other athletes make the same transition. So in other words, I never stepped off the field. I'm still on the playing field, and I am playing to win.
So help me understand some of that mindset that's consistent between the two. You're talking broadly. Give me some of the specifics.
Okay. So one of the shocks that I've learned, what I was able to just understand when I, moved from sports to the corporate world, was that in most cases, from the top to the bottom, corporations, CEOs, C-suites, executives, COOs, they don't do analysis of their competition. They don't understand the market, which a lot of times they get caught with their pants down. They don't see the trends. They don't recognize the trends. When I played football, we would watch film on our opponent almost 2 to 3 hours a day. I knew everything about my competition, everything. I knew his or her, I knew his actual strength, his weaknesses, his actual tendencies. And my office staff doesn't even know to the extent that I go out at night and I study other security companies. I watch their officers. I look at the way they dress. I ask them about their pay. And when there's an actual applicant that comes into my office, I'm doing a deep dive in where they worked, what was their culture like, what's the business like, just to glean from that. And so now I can apply the strengths and weaknesses and things that I've learned from other security companies, their successes and their failures. I probably know about 70% of all the wages of security companies in and around Columbus, Ohio at any given time. And I know their actual struggles when they're hiring, when they're firing, when they're laying off. And then I take that. Corporate America, they do not analyze other industries or competition in other banks. They may talk to them. They may be friends with Bank of America and Chase, but they don't do a deep dive. At least I haven't seen it.
Well, I think, Shawn, to speak to that, I think it's a really great point. But I also think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs go into business thinking they're doing something unique. I know when I first started, I thought I was going to be different than everyone else. And if I went out and found a competitor that did very much what I wanted to do, I think it would have discouraged me, if not caused me to stop altogether.
The way I think is that that when I step to the market, what I can do is that I can create an actual wave towards me. So I'm here to take market share. When I step on the football field, there's 30-something teams in the NFL. They're all going for the win. So just because you're a great company, you're doing this. Now, I will never shy away because you still got to play the game. So it's how can I outsmart you? How can I be more nimble than you? How can I dominate you? So it doesn't matter who's in the space. I'm coming.
Okay. You sound like a running back now.
Yeah, I'm coming.
That's it. I love it. So what are some of the other things you look at when you were looking at your competitors? You said salary, you said uniform, address. What are some of those other things that maybe we wouldn't typically think of that you're paying attention to?
Paradigm shifts. Most wealth is created in a paradigm shift. So I'm going to go macro to go micro, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I give you an example of a paradigm shift. In 1990, the internet was introduced for the first time for public use. They had it previously, military applications and things like that. But for the masses, it was introduced, and it was called information superhighway, the World Wide Web, right? That was 1991. www dot, right? Yep. Right. In that moment, that was probably one of the greatest paradigms in history, because in that moment, companies were born. So you look at all of the .coms that came after that. Remember the days of Yahoo, InfoSearch, and this and that, right? And in that moment, also companies died. So now, guess what? You don't see. There used to be a lot of electronic companies. Right around the corner from my house, there was a store called Sun TV, right? I used to go to Sun TV, and I would, and I find out electronics and things like that. It's gone. There's one or two left.
Radio Shack is gone, and
Radio Shack is gone. H.H. Gregg is gone. Circuit City is gone. In that moment, they died in 1990. They just didn't happen. It just didn't come to the actual realization yet. So you have to study paradigms. Cryptocurrency has all of my attention. That's a paradigm shift.
Okay.
COVID-19 is a paradigm shift. Right now, I wish I could show you in my office right now, I have a green screen, because in that shift of COVID-19, C-19, 99.9% of all my speaking engagements vanished And within 48 hours, I lost all my income in 48 hours. Not one engagement. I couldn't get on the plane. I couldn't travel. And so I said that was a paradigm. So now I am actively preparing as a business owner from the security standpoint and from the speaking standpoint to prepare myself with my green screen that if it happens again, no, when it happens again, I'll be ready. I'll be ready this time. So that's one of the things that I learned playing sports is every once in a while there was a paradigm like this. Now let's look at it from the actual sports perspective. In 1983, 84, Buddy Ryan, Mr. Tolbert, they came out with the Bear 46 defense. That was a paradigm shift. And then and they took that defense to the Super Bowl. The West Coast offense, that was a paradigm shift. The
Don Coryell, right?
Genius.
Yeah.
No. It was Lee. Who was the coach for the San Francisco 49ers? I forgot his name. I believe he was one of the architects of the 46 defense. Bunch huddles. Now, or the 3-point line. Look at Steph Curry. He has literally changed the game. He has changed the game because he was able to capitalize on a paradigm. So when there's a paradigm in business, like right now, they have robot security officers and people are laughing at them. I'm not laughing. Elon Musk just came out and said in 2025 or 26 or 20, I don't know the year, that you can buy a robot for $20,000 to $30,000. That's I pay my officers probably more than $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So
and
you
they
can
call in sick and they take vacation.
No sick.
They have problems.
No workers' comp. No, no lawsuits. No nothing. I'm like, whoa, that's a paradigm. Now, do I make the adjustment now? Or do I suffer in about 5 or 6 years when I start losing market share to AI, Web3, and robots?
So that's a great example, but what brings you to the point where you say, this is a paradigm shift, I've got to change? Are there factors that you see in your head? And like a football play, I would think the quicker you can identify what your opponent is doing, the more prepared you can be to respond to it. What are the things that you look for to respond to a paradigm shift?
Certain types of, what I just heard you say was, there are changes every day. What
Correct.
signifies a paradigm shift versus just a simple change?
Correct.
And a lot of it is a gut feeling. As an entrepreneur, it's like, hey, you have to develop a sixth sense. You have to have a gut. Okay. Number 2 is how is it adopted and who is adopting it? Like so right
Elon
now,
Musk has deep pockets, so he can make a pronouncement like that and make it happen.
Look,
but if I made that pronouncement to you and said in 2 years there'd be robots doing what your guys are doing, you'd probably not think that was a worry.
Yeah, you ever hear a song that like this song sucks, but somehow they just force that down your throat, and then all of a sudden it's like the number 1 song? Or, oh no, I'll give you a real world example. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk's new Cybertruck.
Okay, me either.
But you know what? He's like, I don't care if you're a fan or not. I'm gonna make you a fan. I'm sitting back and I'm like, he's telling me what to think right now. That's power. So you watch the adoption, who's adopting it, and you watch and see what it's doing. And then, you can make it.
So is it good to be the first one to adopt something, or is it better to be the second in the market? And the reason I say that is Apple did a really expensive job of getting us to first like the iPhone, then the iPad. They spent a lot of money, and then all of a sudden there wasn't just an iPad. there was a tablet from this company, a tablet from that company. They were cheaper. They did different things. We went from iPhones to Droid phones. What are your thoughts around that?
I don't know. But one thing I do know is I need to be prepared for the move. You don't
Okay.
you don't always have to be ready to move. You just have to prepare your organization. You got to prepare your mind for the move, for the shift. So if there is a, new way to fish, well, I'm not going to be 100 miles away saying, "Hey, I hear there's a new way to fish." You better get yourself close to the riverbank and watch what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Watch you showing, watch how it's being done, how many fish they're getting. And when it's time to make the switch, then hey, either you make the switch or you get out the game.
Okay. How many paradigm shifts do you think the typical industry would go through in a owner's lifetime?
I don't know because I'm still an owner, and so I'm still in the game. But I can tell you some that I've noticed in my lifetime. Let's just start with, wow, just a ton of them. So let's just say when I mentioned the internet, it's a paradigm shift. How about the electric car? It's a paradigm shift. How about the Elon Musk sending up a rocket going up to the up in space and landing right back where it took off? That's a paradigm shift. 9/11 was a paradigm shift. I mean, can you
Okay.
imagine the company that owns the rights to those blue gloves that TSA uses instantly? Or can you imagine the company that had a hot chocolate or coffee kiosk right outside of TSA? They're
Right.
closed. You
Right.
know, um, the actual market crash in 2008, that was a paradigm. And as I mentioned earlier, blockchain is a. Let me tell you something. Blockchain and AI and Web3, you better start reading up on that right
Okay.
now. In fact, you're already behind the eight ball, especially AI.
Okay. So Shawn, I'm going to ask the big question right now because I think it's going to set the stage for other questions and answers,
Sure.
which is you're a former football player. And by the way, I don't mean to offend you with this. You're a former football player. When you meet people, they see a football player. Lots of people in your community know who you are. Does
Not
that
true.
make it easier for you
Not true.
to?
No,
Not true? No?
no. I A lot of former athletes,
Hmm.
they kind of wear the fact that they were a former athlete and they wear that. I don't. I don't wear. There's no insignia on my car. I don't talk about, I played. I don't carry that at all. I don't carry other organizations that I'm affiliated with. People that I speak for don't know that I own a company. There's so much power in ambiguity or just laying low because they don't know what to hit. And so what happens is that if I'm a football player, a former NFL football player, that puts the entire conversation in a box.
Hmm.
Let's talk about this and this. And I would much rather just approach it like I'm a big guy. In fact, what I do and what I've learned to do is that whenever I meet a former athlete, I know them because they walk a certain way. They act like that was an athlete. Whenever I meet an athlete, whatever level he stopped playing at
Hmm.
that's the level I like. So if they say, I played high school football and man, I could have made it to college. Where'd you play? I say, I played high school football here and
Okay.
that's it. Oh, well, you know what? I played college football. Where'd you play? I played college football and that's it. I
Right.
never take it one step further. I always stay at that level. And that way the conversation is more genuine and more pure because at the end of the day, it's not about communication. It's about connection. And I want to connect with people in a sincere
Okay.
way. Yeah.
How did you get into the security business?
Wow. Let's see. My brother owned an actual security firm.
Okay.
This was in the 90s. Very successful security firm. Okay.
Older
Uh,
brother or younger brother?
Older brother.
Oh, so you had to one up them.
Uh, you know what? I have to get out of that too, right? Because yeah, because I mean, everyone has strengths and weaknesses. I am very competitive.
You were a
I am,
football
I
player.
am,
That's not a surprise. Come on,
I am,
Shawn. Tell
I
me
am,
something I don't know about you.
in fact, I got a coach. And his job is to just challenge. Once something turns into a challenge, it's done. I will die trying. But if it's
Okay.
not a challenge, I could be lethargic. I could be indecisive. I need a challenge. And once I have a challenge, it's over. You can forget it. I get this look in my eye like it's done. But my brother, he had a company and uh, he kind of turned it over. He ran into some issues. And I was able to use, funds and this and that to kind of bail him out of that. And he stepped aside. And my
Okay.
brother-in-law and I took the reins. We got the debt hooked up, cleared up. We ran that. But I had this super secret goal of one day turning it back over to him because he was my older brother. Like
Uh-huh.
he actually raised me, right? I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna give this back to him, and I'm gonna go back to speaking because, the ROI in speaking is really great versus a security company.
Not as many hiring decisions
Man,
or
I tell
hiring
you what, I
decisions,
mean,
right?
can you imagine just speaking for 45 minutes and you're done? Oh man, I could do that all day. I could do
You
that
and
all
me
day in
both.
my sleep.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. But he passed away. And
Oh,
now yeah.
I'm sorry.
So now I got kind of attached to this and I'm trying to detach so that I could see it from the right perspective. There's one thing to work in your business versus work on your business.
Okay.
So I'm trying to pull myself from in the business to work on the business.
So out of the day-to-day stuff, I think you're saying, and more on the big picture, where's the
Yes.
company going in 6 months or 2 years?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible to balance those two needs, the day-to-day versus the big picture? Because lots of people don't have the luxury of doing both or one or the other.
You can, uh, but you have to have indicators.
Okay.
Indicators like, you know what? I'm at the dinner table talking about business. You're out of balance.
Okay.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm driving around, looking at, you're out of balance.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that I have to work on because I'm kind of a like all in person. I mean, I'm in it
Okay.
instead of being on it. So that's what I'm working on, getting coached on now is to pull back and to go back up to the 32,000 feet and look down on the company versus worrying about the day-to-days of the company. It's tough. It's tough, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
necessary. Yeah.
What's the long-term goal with that security company as you see it right now?
Uh, I'm looking
Because it
for,
sounds like your goal changed.
yeah, I'm looking for, you know, one of the things about business that I've just learned and that I would like to share is, you know, don't always look to make money in your business. Learn how to leverage your business. There's a lot of wealth in leveraging your business. Number one, you can leverage time.
Okay.
That's that's huge. Number two, you can leverage the brand. Like right now, which I should have been doing for years, is that because I have contracts with certain individuals, I have a green light. I can talk to the CEO of this company right now, and we can talk business, but I can easily segue over to something personal.
Right.
I haven't done that. I can work with state government and we can, and I can talk business with state government and I can segue over to policy. I've never
Okay.
done that. And so
Okay.
I'm learning how to leverage the relationships, leverage time, uh, maybe leverage the standing in your company to, get a larger credit line to open up another entity, you know. So learning how to leverage the business, that's where the real wealth is.
I see a dichotomy here, Shawn. I don't know if you do, but with your football past, you sort of go out of your way, it sounds like, to not leverage it in ways that others do. And now you're learning how to leverage your business and the position you are with your business. Is there a contradiction there, or
No. If I go to a bank and say, yeah, I used to play in the NFL, how much money is that going to get me?
guess it depends how much you made in the NFL?
It's not going to get me no money.
Okay.
If I go to the bank and like, yeah, you know what? I have a business that makes, X amount of money. I need to leverage that. Like, yeah,
Okay.
let's have a conversation. Now, don't get me wrong. If I have to, the fact that I played professional sports launched my speaking career
Mm-hmm.
because people
Sure.
love to, hear about that. But everyday life, no, I don't talk about it.
So, how did you get into the speaking business?
Wow, man, interesting story. You see, so for every NFL team, they have a pretty robust public relations department,
Mm-hmm.
and they ask, on the off season and sometimes during the season, athletes to come speak or to sign autographs, and I would always
Go to
sign
the
up for that.
schools
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I would always sign up for that because it was great. It's quick, couple grand, and it's fun and sign autograph. And so I would do it. And then after the season, or after I finished playing, the opportunities kept coming.
Okay.
And I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to leverage this. And I started with the youth, and then even start sharing my testimony in churches. And I just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
What was the goal? Was it to, you liked the opportunity, but what was the goal of doing that? Because you seem very goal oriented. Did you have a goal, and do you still have a goal for it?
Well, yeah. So the goal has segued from a myopic narcissistic goal to how many people can I bless and how many people can I serve outside of the money and the this is what I cost and this is what I bring. What level of effect and change can I implement or help facilitate? That's the goal now. Is how much can I get out of me before I take my last breath?
Okay. Wow. That's quite a goal. Now you do a lot of work with the Salvation Army.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that. Is that a passion project that came from something special, or did they just happen to fall into your lap?
Um, I work with a lot of non-for-profits, and I'm on the board of a few of them. What I like about it is that there was a time when my mom, and we didn't get into that story. I had 5 other brothers and sisters. My mom raised me single parent, and there were groups like Charity Newsies, Salvation Army, and the list goes on and on that stepped in and helped to complement what mom was doing. It had
Shawn,
a
can
not,
I ask you to move closer to the
okay,
microphone? It's
sure.
getting a little hard to hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Didn't
okay,
mean to interrupt.
it's no problem. So, had it not been for organizations like the Salvation Army, like Charity Newsies, I wouldn't have made it. I don't think I would have made it, or the actual result would have been different. So yeah, so now I have a chance to be involved from a different perspective, from the other side of the fence, and so I can help implement change, facilitate change from a unique perspective. Usually, people who are on those boards are, don't get me wrong, philanthropic, but I bring a different perspective.
You've been there.
I've been there.
Do you think that there are some lessons you can learn in your business from that nonprofit work?
Oh yeah. You know what? It's kind of like the whole notion behind undercover boss
Hmm.
is learning different levels of empathy.
Hmm.
That's
That's
it.
pretty good.
Yeah. And so now guess what? I can step out of my world, step into another world, hear the struggle, see the struggle, feel the struggle. It gives a huge appreciation from what I'm doing now, where I'm at. And now I can see the same look in people that I work with. Like, well, wait a second. The person not only has an attitude, but that person's really struggling. It kind of helps my empathy. And, you know, as a CEO, you need to have that balance. You have to have that.
Okay. I would be remiss if I did not ask you about your faith. My understanding
Oh
from
man.
reading a bit about you is your faith sort of came about during the NFL, and it sounds like it's grown. Can you walk us
Yes
through
and
that a
no.
little bit?
Yes and no. So growing up, I had a unique drug problem because my mom would drug me to church Monday, Wednesday, Friday. She would just
That's good.
she would shove church down my throat, right? But it was a head knowledge. It wasn't a heart knowledge. Okay. This is information. This is transformation. And the second year playing with the Rams, one day I feel a pop in my right foot. And they're like, you may never play again. And I mentioned earlier that football was my identity. And now I'm like, you know what? I just, man. And through that moment, I was able to develop a relationship with Christ, God. And he has been carrying me ever since. So much so that my heart's passion is to share Christ, and not just, to preach, but to share Christ to where they can see Christ. Everyone talks about God, but no one sees God. So I want to for you to see grace. I want you to see forgiveness. I want you to see love. I want you to see passion. I want you to see Christ, not just hear it.
Is there a difficulty ever for you in your following your religious beliefs and the business requirements that you find yourself having to deal with?
All the
In
time.
other words, are there ethical challenges and how do you negotiate them?
All the time. I know for fact that I have missed out on opportunities because people know how deep I am in my faith. I know that for fact. I've had people say, you know what, I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. It's a joy to be authentic in an inauthentic world.
So, can you give any insights or advice to someone who's struggling with that in their own career? Because one of the things I've noticed is my business and my faith are very separate. In fact, bringing up this discussion in this podcast, I really debated with myself if I would even do it. And at the last moment, I changed my mind and said I am. That business world and spiritual world being so separate, speak to that if you would.
Yeah, it shouldn't be so separate. It should not be, because my faith is not what I do; it's who I am. It is who I am. It shows up every day. Now, let me navigate that for a second, okay?
Mhm.
It's something that I don't wear it on my sleeve. So when I go speak corporate, I don't. Well, no, it's it's not something that I wear on my sleeve, but I wear it in my heart. And I want you to say, what, there's something different about him. You know, they I am seeing the actual principles coming out. And I don't even, without him even uttering a scripture, it's coming out of his heart. Now I do leadership training, I do coaching, I talk about culture and teamwork and motivation and transformational leadership versus transactional leadership and things. But it's not what I do, it's who I am. So I don't have to talk about it. It comes out. But when people ask or whenever I feel led, I let people know where I stand.
Okay.
Again, this is where I stand. It's not up for negotiation. It's not up for negotiation at all.
Has there been a situation, or what's the worst situation you've had come up because you decided to talk to someone about your spirituality?
You know, it's not been that bad. Of course, there's opportunities of, that, I may have lost out of fear that, you're going to mention your faith. I remember one time I was doing a school assembly in Southern California, and there was, a few teachers that were really concerned about, you're going to share your faith in this school program. And they were ready to pounce. I think one of them had actual kill switch on my mic. They were ready, right? And I'm like, no, not one time. I didn't even say God or faith or nothing. And in fact, one of them came up and was like, thank you, gave me a hug, great program, blah, blah, but I have to, and people who want to do this, you have to respect that the actual environment that you're in. But social media, that's my platform. And I'm like, I'm sharing it. This is who I am. I'm not going to share, well, hey, this is my nice new truck. And this is this about me. And this is this about me.
You didn't buy one of those cyber trucks, I'm guessing.
No, I did not. You daggone right. But I picked up this new Aviator. I love that thing. Golly, that Aviator is amazing. But no, but this is just a part of the package, It's just part of the package.
So when we talk about sharing our faith, what you're suggesting, if I understand correctly, is it's not saying, hey, this is what I believe, you should believe in this, or you are doing this wrong because I believe these things. It's just how you go about doing what you're doing, whatever it is.
Yeah, I can soon learn to do it if you let me see it done. I can watch your hand in motion, but your tongue too fast may run. So I'm not sharing my faith. I'm living my faith.
Okay.
I'm living my faith. Like right now, there was a situation to where I should, this person is, doing something a certain way, acting, doing this, and business wise, this is how I should react. Mm-hmm. But I have a CEO, and it's God, and He's like, no, show grace in this. But I don't want to appear weak. It doesn't matter. Show grace here. Give here. Forgive here. Help here. Bless here. Turn the other cheek here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done your fair amount of hiring in your securities business. Can you talk to some of the lessons you've learned in the hiring process? Because most people don't do it really well at the beginning. And I'm always curious to hear how people hire. What's the process for you? What really matters most to you?
Yeah. Their story. I want to hear your story. Like, tell me about, I use this, I guess they call it an actual acronym called FORM, and it talks about your family, occupation, recreation, and then after that comes your message. I want to know about your family. I want to know about your last job. How did it work? How did you leave? I'm sorry about that. How did you leave your last job? What happened there? You can learn so much.
Even if it's negative?
Oh, yeah. I really want to hear about it if it's negative. Number one, I want to hear how much you talk about it. So if there's an actual applicant and all he or she is just I couldn't stand it, and you spend 5 minutes.
My boss was this, my boss was that. Yeah. You
Not
don't let
one
them.
time, not one time did you take responsibility? Like it could possibly have been your fault, or you can't find anything good in your last experience. There's no gratitude. Like, you know what? I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm not hearing none of that. All I'm hearing is just blah, blah, blah. I'm just taking notes like, whoo, I can't use you. Things
What
like
else
that.
matters to you?
Excuse me?
What else matters to you when you're looking to hire someone?
When I'm looking to hire someone is, where are you going? You know, it's energy is energy. The the one thing I cringe at is when I'm dealing with someone with no energy. There's no ambition. There's nothing there. See, I can take energy, whether good or bad, and I believe I'm, strong enough to kind of steer it. So there's, hey, in 5 years, I want to own my own business. I want to do that. Great, great, great. Let's, let's move with that energy. I'll help you. I'll pour into you, things like that. But it's like, you know what? I'm just here and and I'm just want to just do my job and go home. I'm like, it's dangerous.
So the person's character matters far more to you than their resume. Is that fair?
No, it's people hire off of credentials. Other people hire off of character. I hire off of their core. So let me give you an example.
Please.
So a person's character is that, hey, I'm here working hard and yeah, I know you got this amazing project due in like 2 weeks, but I got another opportunity and I'm putting in a 2 week notice. And, I'm, and by character, good character, I should let you know. And that's what I'm doing. I'm letting you know because that's character. A core is that there's a covenant. It's like, no, I'm here. I'm here. I'm a heart person. I'm here for you. I'm here for the grind. I am in it to win it. Every entrepreneur needs an individual like that to say, hey, I'm here from the core. That's what I want. I want a person who is committed to the core, not just good character. Like in the military, special ops, if you get captured, it's name, rank, serial number. That's it. I'm not spilling no secrets. I'm not talking about this and this and that. That it's name, rank, serial number. I'm loyal. I'm committed. That's the core. I could take a person with a good core. They may have some shady character. I'll work around that. But that person is committed.
So you're someone who would give someone an opportunity if they
Yes.
looked like they were ready for it, even if it was a stretch.
Yes. Then the best
Has that
ones.
backfired on you at all?
Yes. It
How do
has.
you reconcile that?
You move on.
But the cost of training someone, the cost of that person, their influence on your organization, all those negatives, don't they add up to make you more gun shy to do that again?
No, well, you know what? That's going to happen regardless. Ask any entrepreneur in this culture right now. People are jumping ship left and right. People are moving around like it's like, there's no more loyalty in this. And the reason why there's no loyalty as much as it was, 10, 15 years ago is because we had this thing called COVID. And that thing called COVID changed the actual landscape to where people said, hey, there's no stability in this. I have to create my own stability. This 401k is not stable. This occupation could be gone tomorrow. They seen major corporations close overnight, and there was nothing that they can do. You're not going to get that loyalty back until you build a culture that can sustain that. That's where the empathy comes in. That's when you look for people like, you know what? Are you committed to me? Because I will be committed to you. even in some mess ups or in some indiscretions or slip ups, I'm committed to you. You have the this is the type of these are the type of bosses that are going to dominate.
Okay. Are you? I'm going to guess the answer. I'm going to guess that you are a slow to fire guy, not a quick to fire.
Slow to fire. It's once once I hire you, if you really want to get fired, violate something at the core. And it's like you got to roll out. I move in. That's I mentioned this earlier. Transformational leadership versus transactional leadership and things like that. And transactional, if you do this, then this, and transformational. I tend to flow in the transformational house more, where I can say, okay, this is where you are. Okay, let's get you to the next level. If you're trying, if you want to do great, if you want to grow, I'll work with you. The moment I see you plateau, like I don't care no more, this is this and this and that, now that's a hard issue. You have to go.
Okay. When you're on a stage speaking, are you nervous beforehand or while you're speaking?
I used to be. I used to be really nervous. Not so much anymore.
How'd you get over it?
Repetition is a mother of skill. I've done it so much. I'm like, okay, let's go. I know what I can do.
What do you like most about your speaking?
Q&A.
Okay.
I love. I wish I could just skip the speech and go right to Q&A. I mean, seriously, it's because they're able in that moment to pull stuff out of me, and I've been blessed with a level of authenticity. It's just real. There's not a lot of, try hard every day and I pray. No, man, let's go. It's just having that conversation. And a lot of times people are like, people can really appreciate that. I like that better than speech.
Okay. What don't you like about speaking?
It's not so much about, no. I take that back. I struggle. This is one. Okay. There's, and I'm just going to add this on there because you didn't ask, but I'm going to add that on there. Certain groups prejudge.
Okay.
So educators tend to look at credentials. If you don't have a PhD, then how are you even talking to me right now? So you got to cut through all of that. There's a lot of cutting through, but you got to cut through that, right?
I hope my girlfriend doesn't watch this because she's a teacher.
If you haven't taught for 20 years, you don't know my struggle, right? So that is a challenge for me. Another challenge is when I meet with clients before I speak. And I jump on the Zoom and there's like 9 people on the Zoom from this department and that department. And, DEI is in the room and, this and marketing. And they all want to just, well, I want you to speak and I want you to touch on. And you like, whoa. And like, that is the biggest mistake you can make because now you're trying to appease everybody. And you got to pull back from that. And you got to hurt some people's feelings. Like, no, I'm here to, yes, serve you, but I'm speaking from the heart. And this is the trajectory. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to try to incorporate, but this is my trajectory.
Do you ever deviate from what you plan to speak when you're on stage?
All the time.
How do you know when to deviate and how do you know when not to?
Not 90% of all communication is nonverbal. Okay. So I'm speaking and I'm talking and I'm moving, but I'm seeing people are not flowing. They're not catching it. They're not getting it. Sometimes you just have to just listen. I don't want to get like metaphysical, but you just have to just listen. It's like, no, you should be flowing this way. One of the things I do as well is before the speech, certain times, they don't know who I am, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just in the audience and I'm talking to them. But now I'm talking to them. I'm having
Right.
a conversation, and I'm sitting there, and I am literally extracting energy from them.
Mhm.
I'm like, where are we going today? You know what? Who's the speaker? I don't know. Blah blah blah. They're just talking, and I'm feeling the mood. And they're angry, or yeah. And then all of a sudden, oh, you're the speaker. Oh, it's too late now. I'm using you for an example. I got you. Yeah.
Okay. Shawn, I didn't tell you this, I'm sorry, but I usually close with the Bob Graham experience. I ask you 5 questions. I ask everyone who's a guest these 5 questions. They won't hurt, I promise, because you're a football player and you know where I live now and you could hurt me. But I want to, before I do that, I want to give you a couple of minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about because I've steered the conversation. I want to give you a platform. I'm going to try to shut my mouth until you stop. Go ahead.
I just, you know, I just want to speak to the entrepreneur out there. One of the things that I learned playing professional sports that's helped me being an entrepreneur for over 20 years is learning how to get back on the bike. And what I mean by that is that you learned what you're doing, or you learn how to ride the bike by falling. You have to fail. Fail is a part of the process. You can't have wins, you can't have success without having failures. It's a part of the process. Embrace it, learn from it. And when you learn from it, it's no longer called failure, it's called tuition. Some tuition is cheap, some tuition is expensive, but you use course correction and you keep moving. That's number one. Number two, here's a bonus, is that it can be very lonely. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely walk because there's nothing in society that really teaches entrepreneurship. Okay. It is a lonely walk, and it goes against the fabric of 99% of the people out there because they are taught from the first grade. You sit a certain way. They got the same breaks as corporate. I mean, you got the recess at a certain time. When you go to work, you got your lunch break at a certain. You are groomed for 12 years in college to work for somebody else.
Mhm.
And when you step out on your own, there's a whole new different skill set you have to learn. You have to master. You have to navigate. You have to be able to see in the ocean. Corporate America is a swimming pool, but the ocean, you get to be able to see a dolphin from a shark a half mile away. You got to know what you're dealing with. You got to know how to navigate, develop soft skills that way, and keep and get back on the bike and learn from lessons and keep grinding. You'll win.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Blessing the world.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Traveling,
I'm sorry.
speaking,
Go ahead.
traveling, speaking, and blessing the world.
Okay.
Earth.
Okay. All right. You ready for the Bob Graham experience, Shawn?
Let's
This
go.
is going to be like nothing you've ever experienced. So get ready.
Okay.
All right. What's the last thing you read?
Wow. The last thing I read was the emotional code.
Okay. Nice.
Good. Yeah.
Nice. What's your most important inspiration?
God.
Okay.
God and repentance. Learning how to humble and repent.
Okay. What's your guiding principle?
Live, give, and forgive. I have 3 words. Live life in the present, understand the power of now, give because it doesn't come to you if it can't get through you, and forgive. Betrayal, abuse, abandonment, rejection, because if you live in the past, you'll die in the present.
Wow. Okay. That's powerful. And then the last question, what's a skill you didn't know you had that you rely on a lot now?
The skill that I didn't know that I had that I rely on a lot now is networking, building up other people and connecting. That's it. There's a difference between communication and connecting. Learning how to connect is huge. It's a huge mindset. I mean, it is a huge skill set. It takes
Talk
a
through
certain
that if
level
you
of,
would.
well, if you look at some of the most successful companies out there right now, I just named two of them. They specialize in connecting, not communication. There is a fast food chain that is closed on Sunday that is one of the most successful fast food chain in the country. It's in the top 3, has to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing when you and the line is down the street, but when you walk up, they don't say, "May I take your order?" They say, "Hi, how are you?" They're connecting. When you walk into an Apple store, man, you can't even get 5 steps. There's someone there. "Hi, how are you?" They're connecting. Amazon, you don't go through 4 or 5 different prompts. The phone rings and somebody answers the phone. Connect, listen, connect.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Connect, I'm coming to you. I'm connecting to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm involving you. I'm bringing you to where I want you to go. Connect, involve, upgrade.
Okay.
Connect, involve, upgrade, and always create a win-win.
Do you teach that to your security force?
I teach that to the leadership aspect of it.
Okay.
There's other things that I teach to the actual security because, you might have to be a bit more objective, and I don't need them connecting to certain elements.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
How can we get in touch with you, Shawn? And is there a cause you'd like us to support as well?
So my website is ShawnHarperWins.com. My social media manager's like, "Can you please mention your Instagram?" Yeah, I'll mention it. That is, I believe it's Shawn Harper Speaker.
It is. I checked.
Yeah, okay. But if you go to, and I haven't fixed this yet, so just bear with me, audience. If you go to www. You got to put that www. Right? I'm old school. Bear with me. If you put www.ShawnHarper.co, you can get a free copy of my book, The Winning Edge. It's yours.
Oh, I like it. All right. When did you write that book?
About 4 years ago.
Okay. Was it hard to write a book?
It took me about six years. Guys, I had to deal with a lot of self-sabotaging beliefs.
Okay. Would you like to go into that more? I'm curious because I help people write books. So this is fascinating.
Yeah. So, graduating last in my class with like a 1.62, struggling in that field with, 4 to 5 learning disabilities. Like somewhere in my psyche, it's like, no, you're not good enough to write a book. You can't write a book. And so there's a lot of stops and stops in there. But once I was able to just put it all together, and I just pulled out a microphone and I talked it out, and somebody over, a beautiful writer in South Africa, really inexpensive, wrote it all out, did some editing. Then my wife finished it up, then it was done. And that took about, 6-7 years. And then I got the second one done in like a year, and I got a third book done, and I'm working on my fourth because I broke the mold now.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. Shawn, this has been really great. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insights, and I love your passion for just being with people. You definitely connect when you do these things. I know it can be hard, especially when someone like me has a shift because of my cat in the camera, but you didn't miss a beat, which is just so cool. So thank you so much, folks. This is the Bob Graham Experience. We have great guests like this. And if you want to find other episodes, you can go to our archives on YouTube. You can see past ones, and we'll have more coming up real soon. Thanks again, Shawn. Take care.
Thank you. Be blessed.
That was the Bob Graham Experience. Want to be a guest and experience it for yourself? Visit thebobgrahamexperience.com to get on the list. And of course, please rate us and listen to other episodes wherever you had the Bob Graham Experience. Until next time.